Time to react to Week 4 in the NFL. The Buffalo Bills prove they still run the AFC East. The Patriots had their dominance for about 2 decades with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but the Bills have won that division now 3 years in a row. After the Dolphins scored 70 points last week and remained undefeated, their matchup in Buffalo with the Bills was the game of the week. And to put it lightly, it did not go Miami's way. The Bills won by 28 by a score of 48-20. This had to be one of Josh Allen's best career games. He finished 21 of 25 for 320 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and no turnovers, along with a perfect passer rating. Miami's offense could not get anything going. They were 0 for 4 on 4th down, and the Bills did a great job of not letting Tyreek Hill beat them. He had 3 catches for 58 yards on 5 targets. On the bright side for Miami, their rookie running back Devon Achane, or Achane now, looks like a real player. He had 101 rushing yards on only 8 carries. That's 12.6 yards per carry and 2 rushing touchdowns. He seems like a perfect fit for this zone running scheme. The Dolphins have looked very impressive so far this year, but the Bills still run this division for now. Ron Rivera does not play for the win? I will not be calling him Riverboat Ron anymore after this one. The Commanders had one final drive down by 7 at Philly, and they were given good field position due to a taunting penalty on A.J. Brown, who tortured rookie cornerback Emmanuel Forbes all day. Sam Howell found Jahan Dotson as time expired for a touchdown to put them down 31-30. Instead of going for the 2-point conversion and possibly winning by 1, Ron Rivera chickened out and kicked the PAT. In overtime though, the Commanders got the ball first, so there was still a chance. On a 3rd and 5, it looked like Terry McLaurin made a fantastic catch down the sideline to put the Commanders in Eagles territory, but the call on the field was incomplete, and it did not get much closer than this. You can have 100 people watch that replay and may get a 50-50 divide on whether they think that was in or out. There was a booth review, and ultimately the call on the field stood as incomplete. Ironically, Eagles safety Reed Blankenship's forearm may have saved that from being a completion. On the eventual game-winning possession for Philly's offense, which was next possession, there was a clear false start on the famous tush-push play, but it was not called. It was a tight game, and maybe some of the calls went Philly's way at the end, but they came away with a 34-31 victory. And you can blame the refs all you want if you're Washington, but in real time, I was about 90% sure that Ron Rivera would go for that 2-point conversion. You're big underdogs, you're on the road, you're a less talented team. It just made a lot of sense to do that. In the postgame, Rivera tried saying that his offense was tired, but I ain't buying that. The good news is that Sam Howell looked really good against a great opponent, so there is that. Right now, CJ Stroud looks like the clear quarterback 1 in this class. He may not have been the first quarterback taken, but he looks like the best one so far. I still wouldn't count out Anthony Richardson, who looks legit, and he did miss a game and a half due to a concussion, but he's made some tremendous throws so far. He's been smart with the football, and he clearly had the most upside physically. Stroud, however, looks super impressive. He's reading defenses at a high level, he's throwing with anticipation, he's been super accurate, and looks like a veteran out there. And that's with the Texans having the most banged up offensive line in football right now, which makes it even more impressive. Stroud's throw to Nico Collins on the final touchdown was flawless. Perfect touch, he led the receiver, and Collins did the rest. It feels like right now that Stroud's going to put an end to that lazy narrative that all Ohio State quarterbacks suck. Even on a rebuilding team, he has that team competitive, and in the past 2 weeks, the Texans have outscored their opponents 67-23, and that was against the Jaguars and the Steelers. Those are pretty respectable opponents. On Sunday night, Adam Schefter poured some light on how well CJ Stroud has played, pointing out some of his comparisons to other rookies during their first 4 starts. Stroud's 1,212 passing yards through 4 games beat Andrew Luck, who was second with 1,208, and only trails Cam Newton, who remains in first place with 1,386 passing yards. Stroud is the second quarterback in NFL history with no interceptions in each of his first 4 NFL starts, with a minimum of 30 attempts in each start, joining Gardner Minshew, who did that back in 2019. Burrow and the Bengals might be cooked. You know what they say about 6 or 7 playoff teams from the prior year missed the playoffs the following year, and while it's tough to find those teams sometimes, the Bengals look like a lock to be one of them unless something changes fast. As they fell to 1-3, they got some bad news as T. Higgins broke a rib. He might be out for a couple weeks. Maybe he tries to play through it, I don't know. Joe Burrow looks far from healthy. You have a quarterback that can't move, and the Bengals offensive line is ranked 27th in pass blocking per PFF. So a statue quarterback who's not playing well and a bad offensive offensive line is a recipe for disaster. The receivers are not even running deep, meaning that the defense only has to worry about the short to intermediate throws. The famous deep ball connection to Jamar Chase has been non-existent so far this season, and Chase voiced his frustration after the game. I'm sure most of you saw that quote, but if you didn't know, he's always open. I don't even think the Titans are that good, but the Bengals made them look great. Tennessee won this game 27-3. Assuming the Giants can score more than 7 points tonight, the Bengals will be last in the NFL in scoring through 4 weeks. I mean, who would have thought? Mac Jones is not the guy for the Patriots. Patriots fans have seen their worst quarterback play since probably the early to mid 90s. The Pats offense has not scored more than 20 points this season. They scored exactly 20 back in week 1. As for Mac Jones, he finished 12 for 21 with 150 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 1 fumble. One of those interceptions was returned for 6, and a fumble was also returned for 6. His interception right before halftime was something you would see from a rookie, not a guy in his 3rd year. It was pretty terrible. He threw across his body, the route was jumped, and that was it. It honestly reminded me of Sam Darnold's first NFL game at Detroit. He threw a very similar pick 6 in that game. Jones looked really good in 2021, but has been regressing ever since. Last year he struggled and had injuries, but this year he's just struggling. He was benched for Bailey Zappi late in the game, but Bill Belichick said that Mac will remain the starter for next week. To make matters worse, their possibly 2 best defenders got hurt in this game. Matthew Judon could be out for a while, and Christian Gonzalez, their rookie first-round pick, hurt his shoulder. Both guys could be out for multiple weeks. And looking at the Patriots since Tom Brady left, it's been pretty sad so far. It's their 4th season without him. They made the playoffs that one year, but got smoked by the Bills in Buffalo. And since that loss, this organization has just not looked right. They make a lot of stupid mistakes, silly penalties, and the quarterback keeps turning the ball over. Sean Payton gets his first win as the Broncos head coach despite being down 28-7. It looked pretty rough for a bit. Not only did Sean Payton look like he was about to drop to 0-4 with his new team, but it looked like he was about to lose to another team that was a laughingstock in the NFL, the Chicago Bears. Denver's defense had a rough stretch going into halftime of that game. So rough that in the last 120 minutes of gameplay, the Broncos defense had given up 17 touchdowns. That's 8.5 touchdowns per 60 minutes. And of course, that's some carryover from the 70-point performance by the Dolphins. But if you include that game and the first half against Chicago, I mean, man, it was pretty rough. Denver, though, scored 24 unanswered points, and there was plenty of reasons for that. The Broncos offense finally woke up, and Russell Wilson actually played pretty well. Justin Fields fumbled on a hit by Nick Bonito, and it was returned for a touchdown. Matt Eberflus went for a 4th and 1 where the analytics said to kick the field goal, but they went for the sneak, and it fell short. On the very next play, when Denver's offense got out there, they hit a big play to Marvin Mims, and Will Lutz put through a 51-yard field goal to give them a 31-28 lead. The Bears, though, did have a chance to come back and either tie or win the game, but the game ended on a Justin Fields interception. The most typical Bears loss you will see. As I said, Russell Wilson has not been that bad this year, but Denver's defense has to be much better. Denver gets the Jets at home next week, so maybe they can improve to 2-3. That's going to do it for the week 4 reactions. Some other things that popped out to me that I did not go over. The Lions on Thursday, which felt like forever ago, they had a great win against their division rival Packers. The Rams, who some thought would be terrible this year, are now 2-2 with an impressive overtime win against the Colts, although they blew a 23-0 lead. The Buccaneers are in first place in the NFC South, beating the Saints on the road 26-9. I know Derek Carr's hurt, but man, he looked pretty awful. The 49ers still look dominant as they're now 3-0-1 against the spread this year. They beat the Cardinals 35-16, and it was a pretty close game at one point in the mid-3rd quarter, but the 49ers pretty much owned the 4th quarter. Anyway, that'll do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys next time.